Run it up, then run it back. Run it up, then run it back. Run it up, run it back. Run it up, then run it back.
Thursday's here. Happy Thursday. How are we feeling? Oh, you guys kind of matched today.
Always.
Wow.
Always neutral, nondescript.
It's so,
my boy. Hey.
Nondescript. That's the worst. Okay.
Worst description.
Darius Garland joining the show later.
Oh boy, she did it.
I did it. It's on the screen. I can't not say it. All right, that's going to happen. But of course, we start the show where we started it many times already this month. Jimmy Butler suspended again. This is getting kind of dumb, y'all. Suspended by the team for 2 games. Shams, shout out, reporting that it's due to him missing the team plane yesterday. Now he's going to stay home on their 2-game road trip. Missing the team plane, Chandler, that is not easy to do.
Yeah, listen, at the end of the day, this is getting really sloppy and it's becoming repetitive, and this seems like there's something new every single time we wake up and come to this show. And I would do the same thing. If I'm the Miami Heat, look, there are rules, there are team rules. You cannot miss a team plane, you cannot be late for a shoot around, and in a certain way, Jimmy Butler is kind of forcing their hand to do this. So I understand he's agitated, and listen, I was once a petty player too, where I did some things where I ultimately regretted, but this isn't going to end good for Jimmy Butler. This team is going to win. The Miami Heat are going to be around a lot longer than Jimmy Butler is. So at the end of the day, I have to agree with the team here. You can't do things like this. Already the rumors are somewhat of a distraction. Now when you're missing the team plane, you're missing the shoot around, the shoes and the hair, like he's kind of forcing their hand in it.
Did you ever think you'd say the shoes and the hair?
The shoes and the hair are ridiculous. So like at the end of the day, I don't know exactly what's happened to get to this point, but the Heat have, like Pat Riley, you have to suspend him if this continues, because this is almost, he's making a mockery of the whole situation.
How long, because, you know, for the team plane stuff, I'm on the broadcasting side, so we get there way early because there's no way you want to be close. But how long does the plane wait? Like
15 minutes.
Yeah.
And that's it?
And that's still a fine, like if you're not there at a certain time.
Yeah, it's not that hard.
On time is 15 minutes early.
Okay.
That's the rule for the plane. So like you said, it's nearly impossible to be late to the plane unless you want to be late to the plane, because 9 times out of 10, you're already coming from the practice facility. Everybody in the practice facility is going to the same plane. They're leaving at the same time. So for you to not be there, that means you're going out of your way to miss this team plane. So at this point, he's $3.1 million down.
Ooh, wee.
You don't have the leverage that you would like to have. You got to read the room, bro. Like, 35 years old, other teams are watching this. It's not a great representation of yourself. I understand it. You know, he's standing on being firm, and I was gonna give it to you.
I mean, are we still using it? I don't even know. Does it pass?
It looks like he's standing on business. Like he's committed to wanting to be out of Miami. He doesn't care what it cost him. Like I just mentioned, he's $3.1 million down in the hole because of these things, but again, he doesn't have the leverage to force the hand like he wants to, and as a result, you know, the Miami Heat can just continue to suspend him and do what they want until they find a deal that suits the Miami Heat the best.
There's a statement from the team. We'll throw that up on the screen there. We've suspended him for 2 games for continued pattern of disregard of team rules, insubordinate conduct, and conduct detrimental to the team, including missing today's team flight to Milwaukee. They're standing their ground, and you know, the more and more the support for the team side of this is obviously getting louder and louder, because I think people, as you say, are going a little bit, it's getting old. It's smart, right? Like why would you give into this at this point?
You can't. Yeah, again, I said you can't. At this point, he's making a mockery of the entire situation. And I missed 1 team plane my entire career, and it was because Sam Dallenberg told me to pick him up. I was a rookie, and it was almost a joke. He told me to pick him up his address. He wasn't there. The team plane took off, and it was like a whole.
Shut up.
Yeah, it was like a rookie hazing type of thing where like it was like, and again, flat tires happen. Things.
Well, how did you? So what did you do? Did you jump?
I had to take a commercial flight. Sam Dallenberg paid my fine. Like it was like a whole thing. Yeah, it was nuts. But
Sammy D.
Have you missed a flight?
I've never missed a flight.
I mean, it's hard.
I can't afford to miss the flight.
This wasn't a situation. No, I was a rookie.
I can't afford to miss the flight.
This wasn't a situation where he had caught a flat. Like he did.
Yeah.
This is intentional. And again, everything he does every day now is getting more and more public. It's getting more and more embarrassing, honestly, for him and for the team. And the team ultimately is going to do what they think is best for them. And Jimmy Butler clearly thinks these antics are what's best for him. I don't know why, and I don't agree with that, because, like I said, at the end of the day, this is a business, and the Miami Heat and Pat Riley, they're going to do what's best for that franchise moving forward. Pat Riley won't always be there, but the Miami Heat aren't going anywhere, and Jimmy Butler only has a select few years left. So I don't think he's playing his cards right, and he's left the Heat no choice but to suspend him.
By the way, even if he had 4 flat tires, he's lost any sort of equity. Like, nobody's going to believe it, so that's unfortunately where we are now. But if he was your friend, let's just say you were one of his friends, would you say to him, stop doing it this way? This is actually not a good idea.
It sounds good.
Yeah.
But the reality is a lot of times we don't have friends that have even experienced what we're going through. They can't give us any real advice for real. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I'm sure it's not a lot of people in Jimmy Butler's circle that's saying, yo, bro, like, we gotta cut this out because they've never experienced it. Again, he's down $3 million in the last few weeks. Who knows what that experience is like? Like, who's gonna gamble with that type of money? Nobody, right? Because that's not your life, that's not your experience. And so my concern with this whole thing is, at first we were saying, you know, his teammates have his back. We're always gonna hedge on the side of your teammate.
Yeah.
Now you're affecting everything. You're affecting the ecosystem for us all. And so now we're having a different conversation with Jimmy Butler. This is about Jimmy and Pat Riley, and they're having a standoff, and now it's bleeding out to a place where, you know, you don't want it to go. Like, I don't know what positive comes out of this for Jimmy Butler.
Yeah, and again, he only has a select few years. It's not like he's this 25-year-old, like, going into his prime with all the leverage. Again, he does have that player option for a lot of money, but this isn't the way you want to go out, man. And, like, I do know Jimmy Butler, and I'm not close enough to tell him what to do. And, again, I don't know personally what's going on. He said things are going to come to light, so clearly there's been some instances where he feels this certain way. I'm just saying, from the outside looking in, this looks worse on Jimmy Butler than it does for the Miami Heat.
Yeah, because exactly. If you don't know anything, it does seem.
And if I'm
really
29, bad. Other teams, I am scared shitless to make a move for this dude because I don't want any of these kind of distractions.
We're gonna remind you every day.
Why do we have to do this?
Sorry, we are a family show.
Sorry.
But yes, I hope people aren't watching this going, ooh, you know what? When I get to that age and I'm a superstar and I've made enough money, losing 3 is not that big a deal. This is not the way to do it. It's just not a good legacy move, I think. People will remember it. In a conversation that I like to call Shams also reporting that the Sixers and Joel Embiid.
That was funny, man.
They're going to have, thanks, buddy. They're going to have some sit-downs because of his health. They are getting more and more frustrated with his lack of availability. He's missed the last 8 games, and he's still rehabbing. Chandler, I'm going to start with you only because you started here. We started the season here with him being healthy and shutting him down and this, that, and the other. Why are you making that face?
Because this pisses me off.
I know.
This pisses me off. First of all, like you said, yeah, this is news. Like, you're frustrated with your all-world, everything that you owe millions and millions of dollars to is hurt. But the reason I don't feel bad, Michelle, they know everything. They drafted the dude that was hurt, that missed a lot of time. He has had serious injuries for his entire career. So now you're frustrated? Like, you're not more frustrated than Joel Embiid is, first of all. You paid him all this money, so clearly your doctors or your medical staff gave the approval to give this guy hundreds of millions of dollars, knowing what the injury history was and what his current injury was. So, like, if you're frustrated, good, you should be. And because you knew exactly. If anyone knows his medical records, it's you. So no one's going to feel bad for you giving this guy a contract because, number one, he's dominant when he's healthy. He was the MVP a couple years ago, and he was one of the most dominant seasons I've ever seen. So that I don't understand what the confusion is here. Of course,
feels like
you're
a
frustrated.
PR move.
Yeah, like, are you going to have a sit-down meeting with a guy that you knew was hurt that you just paid 2 or 3 more years? Like, I don't get this at all.
Are they pretending that they're in the same boat of lack of knowledge as, like, the rest of us?
Or is Joel, like, withholding medical stuff and seeing other doctors? Like, that's impossible. Like, I've been hurt more than anybody in the history of the NBA. My team, your team knows exactly what's going on with your injuries.
This is, I know we've talked about it, like the speculation or even the idea that he could be moved or a change of scenery or whatnot. To me, I just feel like we're postponing the inevitable, and it makes this whole thing just feel like a dark cloud. But would it be, in a perfect world, Lou, if Joel Embiid could just wake up tomorrow on a new team? Would that change anything?
No, he's still going to be injured.
No. But the change of scenery, like, it just because it feels toxic.
No, it's for, like, Jimmy. It's not for, like, Joel and Zion.
Yeah,
they're hurt. Like,
he's still gonna be injured. So if you're the other 29 teams looking, you're seeing how this thing play out as well. Like, you don't want to get a guy in your uniform that can't even sweat in it, right? Like, you don't even want to put yourself in that position. But if I'm the Philadelphia 76ers, now is the time to start talking about maybe shutting them down and let's get them healthy for next year. You have another superstar on your team who's struggling. Put the basketball in his hands. Allow him the chance to go out there, get his mojo back, get his groove back. Go out there and play. Take that momentum into the summertime. Let's get Joel healthy, and let's try this thing again next year. But, you know, I was the first person to say they don't have a lot of time to waste. You know, these guys are aging. They are getting older. Some of these teams are getting better. These guys are getting to their primes. It's going to be more and more difficult to compete at the level that you want the Philadelphia 76ers to compete with how this team is constructed right now. But you got to get these guys healthy. If he's going to be out there limping on one leg and you don't have a realistic chance at going to the playoffs, sit him down. Make sure you get that knee to the best of your ability to get him back on the floor, and let's roll into the next season.
And I was the first one to say, shut him down, because not only is that good for him, because then he could actually get fixed in surgery and look forward to next season, it's better for the team. It's better for the other guys in that locker room to know that he's out, who's up, what is the rotations going to look like. It's not like this thing, like right now at the Heat, there's a distraction because you don't know when Jimmy's in the lineup. You don't know when he's out of the lineup. If you're the backup big right now on Philly, if you're like a Drummond, you don't. The whole unknown just creates a distraction. So I think the season is over. They're never going to get fully healthy this year. Jared McCain's out. Joel is not himself. PG's been in and out of the lineup trying to figure it out. So it's not like panic, rebuild, tank. Like they could just be really good next year if they're healthy. So I think there's light at the end of the tunnel here. It's just. It's not this season.
But every day that they don't shut him down and do whatever needs to be done to get him back to good is another day into next season that's going to be taken.
Right.
Like, this is why I think
technically he's already shut down.
He
hadn't been available the last 8 games, and I'm sure
if surgery is needed, then you got to do this.
I also think it'd be better for that fan base to know, like, okay, this dude's actually hurt. Right now, they're kind of teasing it. Is he hurt? Is he not hurt? Is he soft? Does he
then he plays in a game and he has 30.
They know he's hurt. Without a doubt, this Philly fan base knows that he's injured, and this is something that he's been dealing with for years on now. Their frustration comes from the unavailability. That is the issue. They know that he's hurt. They know he's not playing hooky. You know, it's not one of those scenarios where you're unsure what. They know exactly what this guy is going through, but their fight is the uncertainty. When is he going to be available to help us compete for a championship? This is what we signed up for. This is what we bought into. We want to be a part of the process, and we want to know what's going on.
Someone asked me the other day if they put him out there and said he's available, would there be a market? And I thought, well, a market is different than if you want him on your team. So the market is for sure. Right? Always.
If you have a chance to go get Joel Embiid, you're going to do your due diligence and see if this is something that's worth your while. It won't be a shortage of teams that would call the Philadelphia 76ers to inquire about his availability. But again, if you're that team, you're still going to do your due diligence and see what you can get out of it.
Yeah, it's a risk. Same thing. Same thing with Zion. Same thing with Joel. But that small chance or that glimmer of hope that you can get him healthy.
I think it depends on the team.
70% of the games. Yes, there's multiple smaller market teams that would take an absolute flyer on someone.
Just in case.
Just to get them.
Maybe it will work. SGA, oh my goodness. Woo! Career high, 54 points against the Jazz, and basically did it in all the ways you can. Also had 17 free throws, leads the league in scoring. He's averaged 30 or more points a game the 2 previous seasons. Lou, I mean, he's the best scorer in the league right now.
Right now, absolutely. Chandler, let's argue. Is he the best player?
I can't even argue with you about this dude anymore. I think Jokic is the best player in the NBA, but I think he's second. He's second.
This is what I love about SGA: poise, confidence. He exudes it, right? And then it's contagious. He gives it away to the rest of his teammates to go out and have 54, 17 free throws, only made 3 3-pointers. What that tells me is this is a guy that's getting to his spots, doing everything that he wants to do on the basketball floor, and he still appreciates the mid-range game. So all the young guys out there listening to the analytics, there is still a market out there. There is still a chance for you to be successful and use the mid-range to your advantage. That's what SGA is doing. He's getting to his spots, using his size, left side of the floor, right side of the floor, attacking in transition. He has the complete bag. One of the best. He's turned himself into one of the best scorers in the league, if not the best player. It's almost getting to the point where I feel like I want to double down on this MVP status. At -600, I would blow a bag on that if I was a gambling guy.
What's that mean? Like, what are you talking about?
Blow a bag means
I put a number on it. I want to know like what that means to you. Because
talking a Birkin bag? What kind of bag
are we talking?
I would bet anything because it's almost a sure shot.
You know what's crazy is he mentioned on the mid-range. He's elite at not settling and getting to a spot, stopping on a dime, and no matter who's guarding him, whether it's a smaller guy, a bigger guy, he has a way of kind of using his body without pushing off and creating this space that I haven't seen in a really long time from a guy of his size do. So
he's like an old soul.
Oh, he's got all. And my favorite part about this whole last night after the game, he's just sitting there and he's so cool, calm, and collected. And most people would say that what he said, I would roll my eyes, be like, he said it wasn't my best game, and I don't think I played great. And watching it, he didn't. And he still, you think by looking at the stat
3
sheet,
for 10 from the three-point line?
He still was a little messy with the ball. He said he made bad reads. And again, I was ready to like hate the comment and be like,
because it sounds fraudulent.
54 points out. And he's right. It could have been so much better, and he still had 54 points.
And I'm here to tell you guys, it is genuine. This is how he's carried himself from day one. When the trade happened for Paul George, we were heartbroken that he was leaving. Obviously, we were excited that PG was coming in, but we were absolutely heartbroken that SGA was leaving because we saw the potential. We loved who he was as a person, who he was as a man, just the way that he went about business. To see him here in this, like it's surreal to me to see that my young guy is gonna be an MVP, for sure MVP, and he deserves it. Everything that he's getting right now, he's worked for and he's earned. Can't be happy for it.
The way he carries himself is not 26 years old. Like it doesn't make sense. Like Lou said, Lou personally knows him just from an outside looking in. Watching this pressure last night, I believed him. Like I trusted him. Most guys would say that, and again, I would be like, yeah, whatever, dude. You had 54. Shut up. He was just honest and genuine and real. And
because he doesn't have a fraudulent.
Couldn't like this dude more.
Yeah, it feels like he's not just.
None of his of that.
Could he average 40 a game? Like, is that a world?
Yeah, you put him on a bad team. A lot of guys could, I think. And put him on a bad team where he's taking 22, 25 shots a game and being a pig and not worried about winning and leading like he is now. No doubt. I think there's probably 5 or 10 guys that could average 40 right now doing that. I
mean, okay, so the 26 years old thing, I have to keep saying it out loud because, again, if you even hear him do one post-game interview, there's no way you think he's only 26. They have the best record in basketball. They're all young. I look at people who want to go to San Antonio now to play with Wemby because it's Wemby, right? But this team has everything, and they seemingly are going to have it for quite some time. Is this the best situation in the NBA right now, this team?
Yeah.
By far?
It could be the best situation in all of sports. They are so young, they are so deep, they are so talented. Again, we need to see it in the postseason. We need to see them take that next step and win at a high level. The minute this team wins a championship, I mean, my God, the sky is the limit. Their picks they have coming up, the depth that they have. This is all pretty much without Chet, who's their second best player. They add a Hartenstein. They have everything. They have vets. They have youth. They have shooting. They're all bought in at such a young age. That's the hardest part of being an NBA player. You always think you could do more. I need more shots. But, you know, the first question people ask you when you leave the game, how many points did you have? I feel like this team, they don't care. They just go out there, they hoop. Guys like Cason Wallace, unbelievable, just knows his role. I'm sure he could watch Washington play and be like, I can go average 15 over there. He doesn't care because they're winning and they're all going to get paid.
And you know what I will say? Sometimes guys create their positions, right? Like, who could predict that SGA and Oklahoma City Thunder would have so much success so early? You know, obviously they knew he could be a cornerstone piece to their organization, but again, your organization is only going to have the personality of the people that go out there and represent you. He's went out there and he's done that, and he's made Oklahoma City a destination place, right? Like, these guys want to go play with him. There won't be a shortage of free agents. There won't be a shortage of vet guys. Everybody wants to go play with this guy. Everybody's going to want to go play with Wemby. Look at the markets they're in. Not very sexy cities at all, but they want to go there. They want to compete, and they're going to have opportunity to win championships with either one of these guys, but especially for SGA at this point.
And like that, Sam Presti, monster. They hire Mark Daigneault. No one even heard of Mark Daigneault before they hire him. Coach of the year. Like, it is just, this guy just can't do any wrong. He is the GM of the decade.
Just had to be patient. See, that process worked. Some of them do. We're going to take a quick break. On the other side, good on this man. He will be waiting. Darius Garland. We'll talk a little bit about last night's game, but we got way cooler things to talk about as well. We'll be back.
Run it back, run it back. I'm running plays.
A haymaker by Darius Garland. Garland for three. Got it.
Really gotta get it every way.
What song is that?
You like that song, Lou? Wow, Darius, he likes the song
one.
finally. We get one that he likes. Darius Garland here. He needs no introduction. He's on, well, now tied best record in the league. The extent of last night's game, man, that really sucked. That's all we're going to do. We're going to skip past it because I don't want to even get into it. We're going to talk more about what you guys have been doing.
When you got 7 losses all season long, you don't bring up one.
Who cares? Yeah, what is the difference, man? This team is like must-watch team now every night. What's so different between now and last year?
Man, our camaraderie and just our physicality and our mentality just changed from last year. Like we had a taste of the playoffs. We've been there a couple of times, so we know what it's like just being there and feeling that physicality and just being in that moment. So I think that's just carrying over into the regular season now, just trying to get ready for that time, just being there in the summertime, late in the season. So, I mean, just us just getting so much games with physicality and being in big games, I think it's just really taking us over the top in the regular season, just getting us ready for what really matters in late June and the playoff time.
Yeah, DG, from the outside looking in, man, we see the same team, but different leadership. And I publicly give Kenny all of his flowers because I tore my ACL. He was my player development coach. He got me back on my feet in my career, and I give him a lot of credit. And I know he's running around. He's not a regular head coach. He's running around, running practice. He's doing the drill work. Talk to me about Kenny and what he's been able to bring to the table for you guys.
Yeah, Kenny just brings so much energy for us. I mean, I was just talking about it a couple of days ago. Even like in shoot around, he's always on the floor with us. Like as soon as we get done shoot around, I go into my shooting routine, and he's the first one like defending me, trying to get over screens.
Yep. That's Kenny, bro.
Dialing me on threes. So I mean, he's always firsthand, and then he always go ahead and gets his workout in. He go do some ball handling drills on the sideline. Running upstairs in the arena. So, I mean, he's just so energetic and firsthand, like it's super cool.
That's that New York City energy.
Love
Kenny,
that.
listen, he's the
every day, too.
Every day.
Really?
Straight up.
It's making me tired.
Hey, Darius, you talked a lot about the Cavs and their lack of national recognition. To be honest with you, I was kind of on that same board early on. Now that's no fluke. I think we're all believers. Niang.
He was the last one, though,
Niang
Darius.
He was all over us, but you know what? I'm a believer. It took me a while. What do you think the reason was that you didn't get as much love nationally for the hot start you guys had and just being an awesome team?
Oh, no.
Niang strikes
he
again.
Hated
as soon as you said George Niang.
So much. Why would you do that to him? You just jinxed the whole thing.
It's just what they wrote for me to ask, Michelle.
Well, hopefully we'll get him back, by the way. Yeah, you can tell. Here's the thing. You were the last one to jump on board with the Cavs, but we are proud of you for finally coming along.
Listen.
And we know that as we get closer, once we get past the All-Star break, when we really buckle down and start looking ahead to the playoffs, and we start having the real conversation of, do they have what it takes to get past Boston? Perhaps maybe you'll jump ship again.
Yeah, maybe.
But right now, let's just have it.
And you know what? What a guy for him coming on today. Everything last night, the circumstances, like, I promise you, I would have bailed. There's no way.
You would have bailed?
There's no way.
Oh, good.
Well,
We're start
like you said, there's only your 7th loss.
Who cares?
Yeah.
And it was a great game, by the way.
Yeah, it was a great game.
And he was
happen.
unreal down the stretch.
Houston's a little hostile environment.
He was the reason
All right,
they even got there.
Take it away. Can you do it again?
Is he back?
Yeah, he's back.
As soon as I said the name Georges Niang, you just all hell broke loose and you froze. But basically, you've been on record saying that you don't understand why the Cavs, the lack of national recognition. Why do you think that is?
I want to say the small market, but I don't even want to talk about the small market teams anymore. I mean, as you see, two of the small market teams are 1 and 2 in the league right now.
Right.
So I don't even want to say the small market thing. I really don't know anymore. At this point, yeah. I wish I knew why we didn't get any more national television games or any media recognition. But
keep flying under the radar.
Yeah, it's
good
perfect.
Thing. Keep flying under the radar.
I like being under the radar for sure.
Yeah.
But times like when we've been having
motherless. You know what? Technology. No, they're on the road. He could be anywhere right now. There's freezes and storms. They're in Philly. Philly's doing this.
Philly?
Yeah, Philly.
Oh, it's snowing.
Did you just...
Even the Wi-Fi's hurt in Philly.
The Wi-Fi doesn't even work in Philly. Joel Embiid can't get right. Like, this is a disaster for Philadelphia. All right, we're going to get him back here in a second. And by the way, I feel like if we talk about Niang, this is
bring him back. We'll ask him about G-Wagon.
I do have a question about G-Wagon as a nickname is ridiculous, because I do want to ask, A, if that's a real thing. Did it actually stick there? Because if you have a league pass...
G-Wagon or minivan?
Well, minivan we know was a thing. But is G-Wagon...
Guys, FaceTime G-Wagon right now.
FaceTime G-Wagon.
See if his Wi-Fi's better.
Bring the technologies together.
I don't know if G-Wagon stuck.
I don't know if it's stuck either, but I watch a lot of League Pass.
I hadn't ran into it in the streets. Have you heard it?
Minivan was the other one?
Minivan was the original.
It hadn't crossed my desk yet.
Minivan is so offensive.
It's not offensive. Yeah, you know why? Because he's a dude. You can't do that to a woman.
It's a great nickname, though.
Can you imagine a world?
It's a great nickname. Minivan, you got tractor trailer, you got the round mound of rebound.
Round mound is rude, too.
All of those are affectionate nicknames.
Fine, let's just get this Niang conversation out of the way. Number one, is G-Wagon a real nickname, or is that just something that happened once?
Like, do you actually call him
real?
That's real?
You'll see him today and say, what up, G-Wagon?
No, you won't.
Not like that.
So it sounds so stupid.
This interview is off the rails.
But we definitely call him G-Wagon, especially when he's making some shots. He moving his puppies on defense. Like,
oh yeah,
you gotta give him some credit. You're not just gonna call him minivan no more.
But the minute he misses, he's back to minivan. He's right back to minivan.
Minivan already?
That's rude. By the way, Chandler wants him to stop playing basketball and come over to the TV side. I imagine you guys.
I think he's gonna be unbelievable.
He's like not that old, but like, what is he to you guys on the team? Because if you watch League Pass, you get a lot more of sort of the personality of the team, which is always fun. Like, what is he to you on that team?
He's like the Energizer Bunny. Like, George is always the most hype. He's going to be the first person you hear on the plane. Like, George is always screaming or talking loud, something. Like, he just brings some type of energy. So that's why I changed it from minivan to G-Wagon, because like, he brings so much.
Oh, you changed it.
That was
Yeah,
you.
no, it's no way you can call that man minivan. I'm sorry.
All right, there you go. It makes sense. We appreciate the
worst
change.
nickname I've ever heard.
Darius, let's get off Niang for a second. You recently also said this is the revenge season, saying that all the naysayers have fueled you guys, and that you kept the list of names.
Oh,
Can we get a name?
What?
Is this media? Is this other players?
Everybody.
Is this
Everybody
getting
a
collection of
This is
people?
Aria style.
It's a collection of people.
Yeah.
It's everybody. All the doubters that didn't believe in me. And some guys that are really good at basketball that's on my list as well. So
straight up.
high competition. That's it. It's nothing crazy. Just some high competition.
Oh, I love
Charles Barkley, what up, dog?
Is he on the list?
Stephen A, what's good?
Is he on the list?
So
Are they both on the list?
They're on everybody's list. Of course they're on the list.
on, yeah.
so
list. Taylor making up his own list.
He's got a list.
So Darius, all right, now that we know that you gave George's the nickname G-Wagon, but you also said Jared Allen is the cousin that doesn't come around much, but he's family. You know what I'm saying? I enjoyed that. So with you bringing everything to the table, who was the first person to bring Jello Balls Tweaker to the locker room? We see y'all been vibing out to that.
Yeah. We started it in Dallas. Don was doing the interview, and I just came over. I was listening to the song, so I just went over there and just had a conversation with another teammate, and everybody heard the song, and it started going crazy. And then they asked me on ESPN a couple weeks ago. I'm like, yeah, Jello got a banger, bro.
Yeah, he got one. Beadle, you know what we're talking about?
Yeah, the Whoa song. I know that. Yeah, I'm down with everything cool, guys. Don't worry about me.
We had to explain to Beadle what's standing on business, man.
You had to explain to Beadle what's standing on business? You haven't explained anything here.
Darius, you also played against Jello's brother, LaMelo. You guys have become two of the elite guards in the league. What is that matchup like? Like, is that one of those matches you get up for? What's that like?
The matchup's super cool. Melo is, he's an all-star himself. He's been playing at a high level this year, playing with a lot of confidence. So it's cool just to match up with another elite guard like that. Super young, super talented. And it's always fun to play against really good guards, like I said. So any matchup with a really good guard, but in this league, every game is a matchup with a point guard in this league. Every point guard is really good at something that they do. So it's just another game. Still got to lace them up and go do your job. So it's just every other night.
But why did they keep double teaming you when you were going at him one-on-one? Does someone's got to explain to him that's not what you do. You let the battle happen.
Yeah, I thought they was gonna let the battle happen, but they were trying to win the game, so I understand it. So are we. It was just in the flow of the game, so no hard feelings in this basketball.
I just want to talk about a little flop. Maybe it's a flop. I mean, everybody's up for interpretation here, but there is a bit of a dramatic fall here. That's ridiculous. That is Shawn Michaels-esque. You accused him of flopping, by the way. Does he respond to that?
Look, you just told him.
I know. Oh, yeah, he told him, but what did he say back?
Did he catch a fine for this?
Oh, did he?
I don't remember.
It's a pretty bad one.
Because that's a flop. That's the definition of a flop.
We'll say it. Don't worry about it. We'll say it. That's a flop.
Yeah, I'm not a ref. I just play the game, man. I don't know.
I mean, it's. By the way, if guarding between him and like a Cade Cunningham, who's more difficult?
I mean, Cade is just like a big guard, Got a stocky. He likes to get to the rim. He is a little bit more physical than Melo. Melo just a lot more finesse. Craftiness, a little bit of shiftiness. So I don't know who's more difficult to guard, but both of them are really, really elite. So I don't know. That's pretty difficult.
Darius, a lot of people are saying this is the best Cavs team since that 16 championship team. Do you guys talk about that in the locker room? Is there pressure to kind of beat that record, or do you ever talk about with Tristan who would win if you guys played?
Oh no. Lisa froze in a good spot. You know what? It's Chandler. Has it been Chandler asking the question each time when he froze?
Is it something I said?
believe that
I think every time Chandler asks a question, Darius just...
Yeah, he's just faking it.
He said he's back. You do it again, Chandler. We have faith in you.
Darius, so a lot of people are comparing your team to that 2016 championship Cavs team. Do you guys ever talk about that, kind of chasing that record or comparing the two teams?
No, we never had any conversations about it, actually. I mean, we're just worried about ourselves. I mean, I think it's two totally different teams. But, I mean, yeah, we're not really worried about 2016. We haven't really talked about it. Even Tristan, he doesn't even really compare the two teams together.
Oh, yeah, that's a fact.
That's right.
I was gonna say, go ask Tristan who he thinks. We need an answer.
Actually.
Yeah, but one thing that the 2016 team didn't have was 4 All-Stars. Only 9 teams in NBA history have been able to do that. You got the floor. Make your pitch. Why you think you deserve 4 guys coming from y'all team?
Man, one of the top teams in the league. 4 guys playing at probably the best in their career at this time, at this moment right now. Winning games collectively, playing games. I think we all played almost close to 40, 45 games. We're available, winning games, playing at a high level. And it's really good basketball, man. It's fun to watch. I don't think you can just take away from that.
There you go. Listen, the longer you stick around, the longer that you're going to be a part of somebody's retirement story. Jeff Teague went out and said that De'Aaron Fox sent him to the bench, and you retired him. How does it feel to know you put Jeff Teague out of his misery, man?
I feel bad because Jeff is my guy. I'm an Indiana kid. I was watching Jeff when I was growing up, when he was in high school and playing for SPURS. So it's crazy to hear it, but I mean, coming in as a young guy, I mean, you look up to them old heads. Like even you, Lou. Like I wanted to come kill you when we was playing the Clippers, bro. I'm not gonna lie. But it's like so crazy because he's been watching you for so long, and like you actually get that opportunity. Like, yeah, I gotta go cook an old head. Like you just think that in the back of your mind.
I did that to Sam Cassell. I put Sam Cassell out of his misery. Everybody gonna catch a body. Everybody gonna catch a body.
So I feel bad, but like in the back of my head, I'm like, well,
It is what it is.
It had to happen. It had to happen. Darius, this has been awesome. You guys have been an absolute joy to watch. Keep it up. Hope to talk soon.
Keep going, bro.
Keep going.
Good luck, bro.
Appreciate it. See y'all
Anthony
soon.
Slater.
Run it up, run it back, yeah. Run it up, run it back.
Welcome back. We were gonna talk Landman, Anthony. I don't know how you feel about that. Do you like it?
Fantastic
Wait, before we start.
show.
My wife thinks it's overrated. Honestly, the way it was hyped to me was like, I had one of my friends be like, this is the greatest TV show
Wow.
ever. So I was going in like really excited.
Oh, yeah.
It's okay. It's okay.
That'll do it.
You know what, Anthony? We're getting off to a weird start because I love Landman.
Yeah.
It's Billy Bob. But anyways, this is Anthony Slater, ladies and gentlemen. Covers the Warriors, NBA at large, basically for The Athletic. We'll start with the Warriors, though, because it is a very hot and cold, weird season for them so far. But the heartbreaker, Kings last night, an 18-point lead was blown. The vibe at 21 and 22 with the names on that roster still, how is it right now?
Not great. I mean, because you mentioned 21 and 22, but that's better than they've been for 2 months. I mean, they've been like a bottom 6 team for 2 months because it was the 12 and 3 start. Now, if I'm doing the math right, I think it's like 9 and 19 with a bottom 5 offense since, mid-November basically at this point. So I don't want to say like completely resigned to the fact that they don't really have a chance this year, but kind of. Like I still think they believe they can muscle into the play-in. I think there's some internal hope they can find some help at the deadline, like mid-tier help, and maybe, muscle into the playoffs and threaten in the first round. But this is not like, a run is not ahead for this team.
It's crazy. You're almost damned because you started the season as hot as they did and shocked people, and you're like, wait, and now we're back to where they probably should have been. But you still have Steph. Is this the lowest point for the Warriors since he's been there?
No, I mean, especially not since he's been there. That might have been year 1, year 2, year 3. If, you really go back when they're booing Joe Lacob after the ownership change. He's getting benched as a rookie for AC Law. And then if you go during like this dynasty era, whatever you want to call it, the year after the 19 finals, he broke his hand, played like 4 games. Clay had torn his ACL. Kevin Durant had left. They went 15 and 50. And then the COVID hit. That was probably like the low, really for society at the time too, but like empty arenas. And but the problem was they thought that was going to boost their next era because they got the 2nd overall pick, and they made a trade with Minnesota that ended up getting them the 7th and 14th overall pick. And the problem is they tried to have this 2 timeline plan that mimicked the Spurs basically when they got Kawhi Leonard to ride out the Tim Duncan years. But they just missed in that draft. They got James Wiseman in a draft that had LaMelo Ball and Anthony Edwards up top. And then, 7 and 14, they did better, but they didn't get the next franchise face.
In their defense, I thought James Wiseman was going to be an absolute stud, too.
too.
You almost one of those guys you had to take him there, right? But the Warriors on a back-to-back tonight against Chicago. Who's even available to play tonight? Is Kuminga still out? Draymond still out? What's the injury report looking like?
It's funny. They actually should be healthier tonight because they're actually getting Kyle Anderson back from about 4 or 5 game absence. And then Brandon Pajemski, who was really important for them last season. They really kind of hyped this summer. Didn't have a good start to the season. He's missed 12 straight games. He's probable to return tonight. We'll see on Steph. I talked to Steph on the way out the locker room last night. He wants to play tonight, but he has not been cleared for back-to-backs recently. That's a Rick Celebrini decision, so we'll know later this afternoon. But if Steph does play, they'll actually have more bodies available.
Yeah, it's tough too because the Warriors, they have a bullseye on their back, and they're gonna get everyone's best shot just because of the history they've had. And De'Aaron Fox even said, "Look, we got to kick them while they're down." So like obviously,
Said it out loud.
Yeah, every team's trying to give their best shot, so no one feels bad for them, right?
Well, yeah, it's funny. I was just listening to the end of your Darius Garland segment, and, Darius and Lou were talking about kind of like the life cycle in the NBAs and the young guys coming up and wanting to kind of beat the old heads that they looked up to. And it's kind of how it is from a team perspective, too, right? Like the Warriors used to be the young team. They took down the Spurs dynasty late in the Tim Duncan era, or at least that's who they were kind of going against. And now we're at the point of their life cycle. I mean, we could talk about various trade scenarios and ways they can try to get back into the mix, but I just think it's kind of the inevitable end of an era. And what you mentioned right there is right. I think a lot of these teams are enjoying being able to do this to Steph Curry and Draymond, because for years it was being done to them by them, and we know how loud especially Draymond was when it was happening. So people are going to be a little bit loud, in response at the end.
Yeah. Right. And there was talk about the Warriors being active before the deadline to go out and find another big name to keep that title window open. You think this team stays as is, or you think they get aggressive around the deadline?
I mean, it depends on how you define big name. You know, it's funny, they played a two-way guy last night, Quentin Post, the stretch center, and Steph and Steve Kerr are talking post-game about how great it is to have a 5 that can shoot it out there. NIKOLA VUCEVIC, who they're going to see tonight, is a name they've internally discussed, and I think it's something that could possibly get done in the next couple weeks, depending on what Chicago's price tag ends up. They don't want to overpay. It's why I don't think they're going to go after, you know, a Jimmy Butler or you know, any other Brandon Ingram, maybe a Zach LaVine, but just getting a Vucevic in here, like you said, it's not going to vault them into the tier of the Thunder and the Celtics and the Cavaliers, but it could get them in the playoffs. It could make them more competitive. It could make Steph Curry enjoy playing offensive basketball a lot more in the next couple months, because he played with a two-way center last night. He was like, it was great to have a pick and pop option that gave him some space out there. So somebody like that, it's a contract that you can retrade in the summer if a bigger name becomes available, and they want to keep their draft capital and some of their young guys. They've voiced that, and I think that's what they're thinking heading to the deadline.
Yeah, I was going to ask if they're interested in keeping some of their young guys. If they do make some movement, who are some of the guys in the organization that their names could possibly come up in some of these trade talks?
Yeah, I think especially with you know, the partners on the other sides of these trades, they prefer expiring contracts just because it's mostly trying to get off money and getting draft picks. So, you know, like Gary Payton has a $9 million expiring. Kevon Looney's at $8 million expiring. Dennis Schroeder, actually, he was obviously traded for on December 15th. He can be retraded, aggregated in a trade on February 5th. So, you know, his $13 million expiring, I could see him being in a deal that has not worked well. He got, you know, put on the bench last night. And then beyond that, Buddy Hield, you know, some of these mid-tier contracts, I guess probably more to your question, like they're protective of Jonathan Kuminga, you know, that their restricted free agency is going to be a big decision for them this summer, but he is like probably the one guy, he is the one guy of that lottery pick segment of their, you know, timeline here that still kind of has the chance to pop, I think. You know, he was really good before he came down on his ankle. He's probably still going to miss another month or so, but I do not expect him to be on the move before the deadline.
I'm glad you brought that up because, you know, Steph and Draymond both on the record talking about it'd be silly to sort of jeopardize the future of the team. So I guess you could read that two ways. Is that specific to we're not going to get rid of Jonathan Kuminga? Because it's kind of hard to fathom a world in which both of them are just sort of like, we're just content to ride off into the sunset. Is it specific to Kuminga, basically?
I think he matters within the conversation. It's also the one, and Steve Kerr's mentioned this specifically when I talked to him, the idea of like the Rudy Gobert style trade where it's 4 picks, 3 pick swaps, all the picks plus Kuminga, Pajemski, and it's like, I could give you a specific example. Like that's what Utah asked for this summer for Lauri Markkanen, and they said no, and Draymond's even on record basically hinting that it was the Markkanen situation that he told the front office, like, yeah, that might help right now, but that is just like not a smart value trade to just trade everything away for you know, a solid fringe all-star type guy that's probably not going to carry you to your next championship. So that's more what they're talking about. There still is some nudging, like, hey, you could send a protected first or a couple seconds to get a Vucevic. That's not mortgaging the future. And as far as Kuminga goes, like there's still a lot of internal belief about him. Draymond's been very pointed about that. You could see how much they're missing him right now, just with the way they're not pressuring the rim, and that's what he does the best. But the big question is how much money does he command this summer, and then how much does that kind of handcuff them moving forward?
It's got to be a lot, right? Like
I would think.
Yeah, I mean, they couldn't come to an agreement, you know, in extension talks because there was such a gap.
Ooh.
Anthony, what's interesting, sticking with that real quick, is they couldn't come to an agreement now after this season, what he's shown. Don't you think that number's kind of gone up a little bit?
Yeah.
Obviously he's hurt, but like,
it's not going to be better.
He's definitely helped his case, right?
Probably, but you know, there's not that much money out there. You got to wonder, you know, what's the league's belief in him? You really only need one suitor, but who might offer sheet him? I think this might go to an offer sheet type situation. And you guys know how restricted free agency, Chandler, you know, restricted free agency kind of comes with its own challenges on the player side. It's very team controlled because they can really call bluffs and just match if they want to. And, you know, Brooklyn is a name I've heard, obviously, you know, like they're a team with space. They're a team that could use kind of a young on the rise potential, you know, wing star. If Brooklyn believes he is, you know, gonna turn into that, he part of his upbringing was in Brooklyn. So, yes, his price tag goes way up if a team like Brooklyn's willing to go in. But if the Warriors play hardball, maybe we're talking in the 25 to 35 million per year range, which, might sound like a lot, but in this day and age, that's kind of like middle tier.
And this could be one of those situations where another team puts in a trade kicker or no trade, someone like that, to make it even more difficult for the Warriors to match.
Then we can do it again.
And I will say, I think Jonathan Kuminga's side would be very amendable to, like, poison pilling it up. Just to
see
be like,
how important those things are these days.
Exactly.
And you recently wrote a piece about Jalen Williams and possibly becoming a first-time All-Star this year. What was your biggest takeaway from speaking with him and his head coach, Mark?
Yeah, they learned from the Dallas series, as you'd expect. It was their first time last year in the second round, and I think in a lot of ways they lost that series because at times when Dallas was swarming SHAI GILGEOUS-ALEXANDER, like Jalen Williams wasn't yet up to the task of being like a number 2 playoff scorer. And I think they've spent a lot of this summer and some of this year trying to, mold him into more of an off the dribble, pull up mid-range guy. A lot more of his 3-point shots are coming, off the dribble instead of just catch and shoot. He's playmaking more. He's averaging more assists than he ever has. He's driving more often because they traded Josh Giddey away. Part of that was putting the ball in his hands more. He's holding the ball if you just look at all the metrics more. And there's, it hasn't always gone perfect. His 3-point percentage has gone down because he's taking harder shots. But I think he's emerging more into what they need him to be come April, May, and June. And it is, it's a very disciplined, like kind of firm organization, and Jalen Williams fits that. And part of it is like they're very intent on, becoming the best version of themselves come May and June because they know they're heading there, right? At this point, we know they're going to be the 1 seed.
It's inevitable.
So and also what he's done on the other end, especially at times this year when they've had either no centers or one center, like he plays a lot of small ball center for them.
All-star lock.
Lock.
They're getting 2.
Heard it
he's
here.
Gotta be. He's the guy.
That's fair.
So you would think, and that's 100% the argument. Like you have to give a 1 seed that's running away, with this type of record, a second All-Star. But I will say, internally in Oklahoma City, they're like, is he gonna make it? Like they're almost a little bit like uneasy because he's not. He's gonna be going up against names like Devin Booker, John Morant.
I don't care, Anthony. He should be in.
I agree.
But some of these guys are grandfathered in. I get it. Yeah.
James Harden and Norman Powell are technically having better statistical years too. But do you reward winning? Do you reward stats? It's all.
All right, Anthony, appreciate it. I hope we'll talk soon. Warriors Bulls tonight. Good luck with that.
Yeah, Warriors might be scouting a couple potential trades.
It's going to be one of those
Thanks,
types of games. We'll be right back.
All right.
Run it up, run it back, run it up, run it back, run it up.
Guys, they've been to fashion shows. They went to soccer last night, but they're finally going to play some basketball today in Paris. Spurs, Pacers. I mean, it's just a Wemby.
Hated that.
It's a Wemby. What? I'm sorry, I speak many languages. Wemby franchise. It's just he's been living it up. Hosting. What do we expect?
Yeah, I saw Chris Paul at a
Louis Vuitton.
Louis fashion show.
They all went.
This is cool, but I always just think how tired, how jet lagged are they when they come back? I know they give them some time off, but it sucks.
But not really, because the Spurs played in Miami. They were on the flight that night, and they even told them go sleep on the plane because when we land, we're going, and they've been going nonstop.
Jeez.
Pacers favorite in Wemby's spot.
That's stupid.
Give me the Spurs.
That's stupid. But in fairness, both teams were at the PSG game last night, so they've all kind of been doing the same stuff. But Wemby's got.
I like Spurs for this game. I like the Spurs. They're actually underdogs.
Yeah.
Spurs by 7. Specific.
Wow.
Bobby Portis. Wait, who else is on tomorrow? Say it again. Jalen Johnson's back too. Friend of the show.
Studs.
Ooh, it's an all-star time to talk. We'll be back.
Run it up, run it back, run it up, run it back, run it up.